New York City was alive with its usual rush. Horns blaring, neon signs flickering, and hurried footsteps echoing against the cold pavement. But amid the chaos, George sat on a worn-out bench, his torn jacket barely shielding him from the biting wind. His eyes, dulled by years of hardship, scanned the streets, not with hope, but out of habit. Once he had a family, a job, a home. Now, he was just another invisible soul in the city that never stopped moving. That night had been especially brutal. Pedestrians walked past him, their gazes fixed ahead, oblivious to his silent suffering. His stomach rumbled, but hunger had become an old companion. Just as he was about to close his eyes and embrace another long, cold night, a sleek black SUV slowed down near him. The tinted window rolled down, revealing a young man in a hoodie. His gaze was sharp but kind, assessing George's condition. Before George could react, the door clicked open and the young man stepped out. It was Baron Trump. Baron didn't hesitate. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick envelope, setting it beside George without a word. There was no arrogance in his actions, just quiet certainty. George hesitated before picking it up. The envelope was heavy. He opened it, his breath catching as he pulled out a stack of crisp $100 bills. $10,000. His hands trembled. He had never held that much money in his life. His thoughts swirled. Was this real? A mistake? A cruel joke? But then he noticed something else inside. A folded note, handwritten in neat script. Hard times don't last forever. You're stronger than you think. Use this well. BT. His mind raced. BT? Then it hit him. He had seen that face before, on television, in the news. Baron Trump had just changed his life. Tears welled up in George's eyes. Not just because of the money, but because someone had finally seen him. For years he had felt like a ghost, a forgotten shadow in a world that didn't care. But tonight was different. His mind screamed conflicting thoughts. Should he use this money to rebuild his life? What if someone saw and tried to take it? Instinct kicked in. He clutched the envelope tightly and stood up, but as he turned to leave, he felt something strange. He was being watched. Across the street, a man lingered under a flickering streetlight, eyes locked onto George, and he wasn't alone. A chill ran down George's spine. Was he in danger? George hurried away, his heart pounding. He ducked into a nearby cafe, ordered the cheapest coffee on the menu, and sank into a corner booth. The warmth should have calmed him, but his nerves refused to settle. Through the glass window, he saw them. Two men standing outside speaking in hushed tones. One of them pointed in his direction. They had seen the money. His hands tightened around the envelope. He had to act fast. But before he could plan his next move, the cafe door swung open. One of the men walked in. George held his breath as the man approached his table. He was scruffy, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "I saw what happened," the man said, sliding into the seat across from him. "That was quite the surprise, huh?" George didn't reply. His grip on the envelope tightened. The man leaned forward. "A guy like you walking around with that kind of cash? That's dangerous." He smirked. "You need protection." George's stomach twisted. He had heard this tone before. Thinly veiled threats masked as friendly advice. He knew where this was headed. Then, before he could respond, another voice cut through the tension. "Is there a problem here?" George turned, his breath catching. Baron Trump had returned. The man's confidence wavered the moment he recognized Baron. He sat back, raising his hands. "No trouble, just talking." Baron's expression remained unreadable. "Then talk somewhere else." The man hesitated, but with one last glance at Baron, he stood up and left. His partner outside followed. George exhaled shakily, looking up at Baron. "Why did you come back?" Baron shrugged. "Had a feeling you might need a little backup." George let out a weak chuckle, shaking his head. This night had turned into something he never could have imagined. The next morning, George made a decision. He wouldn't waste this chance. With the money, he rented a small room, bought clean clothes, and started searching for jobs. He wasn't going to let this gift go to waste. Baron Trump's act of kindness spread quickly, but not because he wanted attention. The world was stunned, not by the amount he had given, but by the fact that he had done it quietly, without expecting anything in return. And that's the power of kindness. Even the smallest act can change a life forever. If you want to hear more inspiring stories like this, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon, because the next story might just be about something unbelievable.